What is good, Neo family? It's Ray J back with another video, and I wanted to quickly apologize if the audio of this video is not the best because I am recording this from a different place and time. But before I get started, I want to mention a couple of things. I am going to kind of do some in-depth technical analysis about what on earth I think Neo is going to do for Tuesday. The market's obviously going to be closed on Monday, as it is the 4th of July, the United States Independence Day. It's going to be a very, very interesting day as the market will be closed. But Tuesday is going to be another important day because that's when Neo will be traded in the US exchanges, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Now, before I get started, like I said, I have to mention a couple of things real quick. I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Neo community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 10 free stocks, each worth up to $3,500. And the best part is, out of those 10 free stocks, 5 are going to come from the wheel right here, meaning you could get 5 free Tesla shares, 5 free AMC shares, or a mix of all of them in this limited time offer that ends in just 2 weeks. So please check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So looking at NEO, we're down about 1.66% for the day. At least we were down on Friday, right? And now we're a little bit green in the after hours. And I do think that NEO could actually have a slight green day for Tuesday. Now, I don't think that the green is going to last forever. There are lots of bearish indications coming out for the market, especially because of the risk of a recession coming, not to mention how the Fed will respond to the next CPI report and things like that. So a lot of things are going to happen for this month, especially with lots of big tech earnings. And these mega caps, these giants, will have a big role in the markets. Now, when I talk about NEO, I want to talk about what's going on with the SPY real quick. When we look at the SPY, I like to talk about it because the SPY and the overall market are kind of running in unison. And what you'll notice is the overall market over the last couple of days has been very interesting. So the market went from the 370 range, pushes all the way up to that 393, and right there, right off the bat, you could see that we kind of formed this formation where the SPY is now kind of trading sideways. It actually broke to the upside a little bit, and we're at that key resistance level around that 381 range. So my question is, are we going to just keep pushing up, maybe to that like 386 level, which was previous support, and now it's kind of acting, it could act as resistance, or are we just going to start dropping? And from a technical standpoint, our key resistance level, all right, what would be around 380 bucks a share. And you'll notice that the SPY managed to kind of break out of that. So that could be looked at as a bullish indication, meaning I think that the second half of July is probably going to be pretty bearish. I think that the second week of July could also be bearish, but the first week could actually kind of show us some green. And I think it's actually possible we could have a couple of green days for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'm going to show you exactly why. So if we look at the Bollinger Bands right now, we're respecting a bit of an upward trend. And typically what happens when we see these touches, we're not at that key resistance level just yet. So I'm a little worried that choppy price action could kind of prevail, but we're starting to respect a slight upward trend. So it is possible and very likely we might get a touch off that very, very key range around that 380 $6 level. And it does look like we might end up kind of touching that before getting a slight rejection off that. So that's essentially how I'm seeing it. Let me actually pull up other technical indicators. What you'll notice is the RSI is kind of moving with the SPY, and we did see a slight increase in its strength. And with the MACD, let me actually pull up the 2-hour chart to show you. So far, what we're seeing is we pushed up like this. Support is holding us up, and we're starting to see a bit of a curl right here. So overall, our bottom was like at 362. We pushed up. There's a gap right there, and we're respecting a slight upward trend, and it does look like we're getting a slight curl from the MACD. So I want to see that nice crossover with the signal line. So to me, it looks like what's possible for next week is I'm not next week, the upcoming week is the SPY pushes up to 386, gets a rejection off that, then it starts dropping again, right? I think that's actually possible. Nasdaq is in a very similar boat. The Nasdaq actually also closed in the green for Friday, what you'll notice is we had a gap that formed here. We filled the gap. And since then, we're kind of in this big dropping phase. Now, we found a bit of a bottom at 10,800. And generally, what happens, especially during early days, we get some green, and then the later days are probably going to be kind of red, maybe a lot more choppy. So that's kind of like how I'm seeing the market performing going forward. Now, for NEO, what does this mean? Well, the overall market was actually kind of green, and NEO ended up closing a little red. We are kind of green in the after hours. Now, what I'm seeing is NEO did touch this 20.6 range, but so far, 20 bucks a share has been holding us up very strongly. If you look at the last 5 days, it wants to hold that. So I would like to see how it performs around that. Now, if you look at this channel we're in, we're bouncing between 22.2 and about 20.8, like around there. We've been bouncing between there, so it's an indication that we might get another push up to 22 bucks, a rejection, and maybe holding $22 flats to close. It's very much in the realm of possibility. Now, I don't see NEO kind of like flying to a super high level for this month. I don't think NEO is going to go back to that 24 to 26 range. I think it's more likely to maybe push up a little bit, hold for some time before more downside comes in the future. And I know people don't like to hear that, but that's kind of like how I'm seeing this thing playing out, considering all the factors that are setting in. So, from a Bollinger Band perspective, let me look at the 2 hour time frame. Let me see if the Bollingers are showing what I was looking out for from before. Right here in the setup, you can see a nice push up, a rejection, followed by a nice push up. But before we get that rejection, we can see historically the $20 range held us up for quite some time, just like here, right here. We got to bounce off of it. We pushed up, we bounced off and pushed up, and we started to touch that upper band. And what you'll notice is so far, if NEO kind of stays in this range, it could touch the upper band in that 22 range. So I am looking to see if this thing holds temporarily before more downside probably comes in the later weeks of the month. Now, we could be ready for downside already, but I can't confirm that just yet because the chart is holding 20 very strongly. So our strong support at 20, I would like to see that hold us up on Monday. If we can't hold that, that's where things will become kind of crazy. Now, for the overall market, there is one thing that could be kind of bearish. It's just something I want to kind of account for. That's Tesla's latest Q2 deliveries report. It came out at about 254,000, which was not necessarily bad. It technically did meet the lowered expectations of Wall Street. But if you compare their previous delivery reports for for Q1 of 2022, we had 310,000. Now for Q2, we don't have 310. We have about 254,000 deliveries. So a bit of a drop due to the lockdowns in China. I mean, this is very consistent for the months of April and May for many, many big companies that have gigafactories or big factories and facilities in Shanghai. So if Tesla does drop hard, the whole market could kind of drop a little bit. So that's a little bit not necessarily too concerning for the overall market, but so far, NEO is starting to respect a slight downward trend compared to that 24 range, but I don't necessarily expect it to break below $20 just yet. I think it should hold above that for some time before the breakdown comes. That's essentially how I'm seeing it right now. Now, I do think the market could be kind of bullish temporarily for the first couple of days into going into this week, but like I said, some downside seems imminent for the later weeks. So what do I think is going to happen from a technical standpoint? So far, we're holding this $20 range. If we can't hold that 20.8 range or something like that, and we start dropping, the next key zone is 20 flats. And if that doesn't hold, this thing is going to drop to the 19, maybe 18.5 range. And that's when we're going to see NEO start to actually kind of drop even more, in my opinion. Now, are we going to do that? So far, we're not ready to start dropping hard yet. NEO's holding up pretty well. So I'd like to see 20.6, 20.8 hold us up. So here's what I think may end up happening. Now, a more bullish perspective would be NEO kind of stays in this range. Maybe we open up like this, push up. We might get rejected off around that 22 range, maybe 22.1. We might see some choppy price action. We might end up kind of dropping and then testing 20.8. We should get a bounce. We've been holding up about that range for quite a bit of time. And we might start to push up with the overall market going forward. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see NEO in the 22 range. And maybe 22 could become our next support temporarily. And I wouldn't be surprised if this thing actually closes a little bit green for Tuesday, because the market has been closed for Monday. And I do think that there are a lot of indications out there that are suggesting the market could see some bullish price action. Now, like I said before, the bearish price action is also a possibility. If NEO breaks past 22.27, this thing could hold 22.5. And if it goes like berserk, if this thing starts pushing up really hard, which I think is very unlikely, 24 would be that key resistance. I don't see that happening just yet. Now, if NEO were to start dropping, right, hypothetically, NEO would probably drop down to about 20.8. And if we can't hold that, like I said, 20, then the 19.5, then 18 to 18.5 is the next key zone. So be on the lookout for that in case this thing does start to drop. Draw your fib levels and pay attention to your indicators. With that out of the way, I'm predicting a move kind of like this, maybe a little bit more in favor of the green than the red. And I do think NEO has a little bit of more time left before this thing actually starts to dip with the overall markets in the later weeks of July. With that said and done, thank you so much for listening. Please have a great rest of the day. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you guys at the next one. NEO to the moon, and peace out.